Thank you so much, Elliot, and thanks, Martin, for setting a great stage, I think, to the study. When I was told to present this particular study, and I looked at a 30-page paper that we published, I was like, is there any way that I can make this interesting? So thanks, Martin, for starting it, because I think some of the key findings that the study is talking about, you've sort of started to talk already about solutions to the issues that are highlighted in the study. All our clients today are talking about how demographics across the world are changing, all the more in Asia Pacific. Not only the demographics, but population moving from Asia to US, UK, Europe, and the other way around. What does that lead to? That leads to a lot of gaps in talent, as Martin was also talking about. Randstad Sourceright and HRO got together earlier this year, December 2012, to do this particular study, talking about what are the issues that are being faced by talent acquisition leaders across the world. So we went to a broad category of users, not just HR folks, not just talent acquisition leaders, but also line managers and also procurement leaders as users of talent. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. There are 4 key themes that came out of the study. And that's, number 1, what is actually the value of talent to the business? Where is the talent scarcity? And what are the businesses currently doing to tackle the talent scarcities that exist? Last but not the least is how can outsourcing help talent acquisition in today's marketplace? Well, before I go into the first theme, sort of, the value of talent to business, anybody from the talent acquisition or HR want to talk about, do you think talent is important to business? I'll probably take that as a yes. So definitely talent is strategic to the business. This is where the perception and the value of talent lies. Barring procurement and line manager and line and staff workers, pretty much everybody across the board thinks that talent is extremely, extremely important to the business success, and is responsible for adding business agility, is responsible for business competitiveness today in the business. Again, going back to what the perception is, clearly talent is a big influencer and very, very important for business competitiveness in today's marketplace. Across the research, we also did a bit of segregation of how business leaders across regions think. So, point to note, also highlighted by Martin, within Asia Pacific, talent is regarded as one of the most important, while on an average, about 84% of the respondents thought that talent is somewhat or to a large extent important. Almost 92% of the respondents in Asia Pacific sat in that category, whereas within Europe, about 84% of the respondents thought that talent is quite important. Is there a drought of talent? Where is it? Is it in Indonesia? Is it in the US? Is it in Africa? Pretty much across the board is what the research shows. Because of this scarcity, what do the companies experience? They experience delayed product launches. They are not able to flex up and flex down. And overall, does the market valuation also suffer? This particular graph actually shows how talent scarcity is going to change over the next couple of years, vis-a-vis where it was 3 years from now, and also how is that influenced across different levels. So as you can see, talent scarcity is most prevalent within the executive and the middle management category. And this is, again, pretty much throughout across the board. Some of the top areas globally, and I'm sure this is going to echo with most of the HR practitioners and our clients today, those are some of the categories where talent scarcity is seen as most prevalent. Healthcare, medical, technical, engineering, research and development. This is the research which came from the global respondents, whereas if we look deep dive into what the Asia Pacific respondents said, apart from all these 4 categories, sales tended to be a particular area of scarcity as well. What do some of our clients say in terms of how does talent scarcity impact their business? Almost 70% of the clients agree that not having the talent, not having the right people at the right time impacts their products and services. Not a whole lot think that this will influence their market share, but definitely results in delayed product development and productivity, as well as new product introductions. What is it that organizations are today doing to take care of this talent scarcity? There is definitely a lot of pressure on talent acquisition to be a strategic partner with business and to help to look after this talent scarcity. Talent acquisition strategies today don't just need to be tackling the talent scarcity today, but need to be planning pretty much ahead. We're talking about a digital talent force. We're talking about a digital workforce that is constantly changing and is constantly getting fatigued by digital as well. So how do we actually start to engage them, and what are the strategies that we need to start employing from a talent acquisition perspective? So these are some of the strategies that have been quite important that came out of the research. And clearly, from a global perspective, recruiting people from diverse backgrounds, recruiting people more on a flexible and part-time arrangements. As you can see, compared to Europe and US, Asia Pacific respondents had quite different and diverse views. Whereas recruiting people from diverse backgrounds was very important for the US and European clients. It was more recruiting people on flexible work arrangements for Asia Pacific. The interesting part in the next slides is that what they perceive would work, actually when they start using may not work, and the other way around. And this is what this shows. So while contingent workers and using contingent workers and contractor talent doesn't really come in the top 5 strategies for tackling talent acquisition, amongst the users, its effectiveness is actually number 1. So that's again quite interesting bits of the research. What does this mean for outsourcing? What does this mean for talent acquisition? Well, overall, the research shows that almost 81% of the respondents outsource some or all parts of their talent acquisition function. Where executive level positions and contingent contractor engagements tend to be outsourced the most. Typically, the least common ones to be outsourced were support level positions and graduate positions. Again, I think those are some of the things that organizations are looking at being really strategic and keeping those functions within themselves. But where the biggest, linking this to where the biggest gap in talent is sitting, that's pretty much in the executive and middle level segment. That's exactly what business leaders are looking to outsource as well. Sorry, I don't think that video is playing well. I'm going to try it one more time. Any questions?
Thank you. Very interesting presentation. Just out of curiosity more than anything else, which might solve some of my problems in negotiation, why do procurement people not value talent?
Maybe that should be a question for the procurement guys. Well, I think it's a comparative one, and it's also to say about where is it that they're coming from. I think their objectives within the business has been, well, we know that from a negotiation perspective, it's all about cost. And do you get the talent at the right cost or at the lower cost? Well, that's probably some of the, but that's what the reality is, and that's what the research shows. Also, well, the CEOs, as one goes higher up in the organization hierarchical structure, people think it's more and more important. The other interesting thing is, if you notice, there are about 4% of HR practitioners thinking talent is not so important. So for me, as much as procurement not thinking, it's also 4% of those HR practitioners also thinking, well, talent may not be that important. So hope I answered your question.
Thanks, Roop.